So, really physical practice. Our first one back since we've been back in full pads. It wasn't all completely live, obviously, as you could tell, but the guys were really physical. The offense had taken care of the ball really well the last couple practices and all the way through this one until the last play. When we started a 2-minute drill and Lamar Dawson got a pick six, which was really cool. I've been praising Lamar here for the last couple of times we've been talking. He's really come on strong. So that was positive. Thought Adoree showed a lot offensively today. When we come back Tuesday, he'll be back on the defensive side of the ball, but I think we see what he can give us on the offensive side of the ball that way. But all in all, a good couple weeks. We'll probably have to back off a little early in next week to try to get a little bit healthy. We're a little nicked up, so that we can come back next Saturday and have another really good physical practice.
Having the defense playing quicker, challenging more, how does that help your offense?
Makes them play faster. It makes guys like Steven Mitchell, who we've been challenging on making those difficult, contested catches, have to make those catches. It makes Cody, a guy who we've been challenging on anticipating more throws, to have to anticipate those throws, because when he's late, those balls are getting knocked down. So it all works hand in hand. It goes both ways, and I think the defense is really making the offense better.
Obviously, people know what Juju can do and Adoree can do. In this camp, a lot of it's been about Steven. Among the rest of the receivers, is it fair to say at this point that Darius Rogers may have a little bit of an edge at this point in camp with what he can do as a bigger body on the outside compared to maybe an Isaac or an J&A or somebody like that?
I think so. I think Darius has been healthy. I think he's had a good off season, so he's stronger, and he's been in the system, so he knows what to do. And he's making his plays. He's getting on his opportunities and he's making his plays. Obviously, Isaac's a little bit behind because of just lack of knowledge of the system, but we do see flashes out of Isaac. When he gets the ball in his hands of what he can do, and I'm glad we have him for spring, and then we get him again in fall camp to understand the system. And with the J&A, it's just he's had this nagging hamstring that's been going on for months that has hampered him some. I don't think we've gotten the full strength of J&A Harris since last training camp. So hopefully by fall camp, that's what we get out of him, because he is a very good football player.
So Adoree said a couple weeks ago that he could see himself winning the Heisman Trophy someday, and then he said a couple days ago he kind of envisioned himself as almost wanting to be a full-time track guy in spring. What do you make of those dueling ambitions?
He's an ambitious guy.
Can he do both of those things? I mean, can he focus on track in the spring and win a Heisman Trophy in the fall?
I don't know. I just know that we're focusing on football and track right now, and he's doing a good job. I know that it's a tall task, especially for a young person. But it was a tall task for him to play 3 ways last year for us too, but he was able to do that. So we'll see how far we can push him, just like every other guy in our program.
Some guys on the D-line said their effort was questioned today. Have you noticed that during aside from today, towards the beginning of the spring at all? Has there been a trend?
Well, the thing is, one, we're a little depleted on the defensive front right now. We have some bodies that aren't available to us, and so they're going a few more reps than we probably should. Two, we're obviously operating at a pretty quick tempo offensively and the pace of practice, and so they're getting taxed. But it needs to be hard right now in spring practice. It needs to be tough on them. We need to be tough on them. Football is a tough sport, and we need to develop that mentality so that as tough as any game comes, our guys are going to respond. And so that's what this is about right now.
What have you liked from that group?
They're making their plays. They're being physical. We've just gotten fatigued at times, and when we get fatigued at times, our technique falters and we get out of our gaps, and that's when we give up some big plays. And so we're just hammering them on. When they're fatigued, we know they're going to get tired, but they still have to use great pad level, they still have to use really good technique, and they still have to execute the call.
Steve, you touched on Isaac Whitney, but how would you characterize the early enrollees to this point?
I think they've been fine. We're, like I said, we're 9 practices in of their college career, and I think Cam Smith has shown flashes at linebacker, some playmaking ability, which has been really positive. I mentioned Isaac. I think he's steadily improved as spring ball's gone on. I think Ricky Town is up and down. I mean, that's understandable for a quarterback his first time playing college football. He does some things and you go, wow, that's a really good read, a really good play, and then he makes another throw and you think to yourself, what are you thinking? And then you go, well, I know what he's thinking. He wasn't. He didn't know what he was doing. You know, he's a true freshman. And then Chuma had been doing really well. He'd been hampered by an ankle injury last practice, which really held him out of today. He'd been doing really well, and I think the future's really bright for Roy Hemsley. You know, again, the game's a bit new to him, but he shows flashes of exactly why we wanted him here, and he's going to be a good player for us.
Speaking of injuries, you've really had very few. I mean, this spring, is there anything?
You had to jinx us, didn't you?
No, it already happened, so I thought I could ask that question.
You know, we got nicked up a little bit today. You know, we've had a couple the last couple practices, and again, we've been pretty physical here this week, and so you know we've had some guys get nicked up. With Lamont had the hamstring last practice. I think Leon McQuay got a bit of a hip today. You know, we talked about Chuma's ankle. So again, we might lighten up here a little bit early into next week to try to get ourselves healthy so that we can come back next Saturday and have another really good physical practice.
We haven't seen a lot of Jalen this week. Is there something he's doing or not doing?
Jalen, which Jalen?
Cool Fitzpatrick.
He's the same rotation as Connor and Jalen has been since day one. So it's just sometimes it's where the ball goes and what the emphasis is for the day of what we're doing and then what the defense is doing to take the tight end away.
Let's do one more.
What's the status of the other Jalen?
Jalen Green, I think he has improved immensely. The first 2 weeks, I thought Jalen was doing okay. This week, I think Jalen's had a very good week of practice. I thought today he performed really, really well, had a couple touchdown passes, and is having fun playing football again, which is important. It's difficult when you're a redshirt freshman quarterback and you're on scout team, and then now you have to get back into the flow of running an offense and the details of it. But he had a really good week this week.
That's a situation you never had to face as a player, not getting to play.
Yeah, to some degree I didn't until I got to the CFL. Yeah, and it was cold and I wasn't playing, so that made it even worse. So at least the guys that aren't playing here when they redshirt, they get to stand in the sun. I was standing in the snow and the wind. So, but Jalen's going to be a very good football player for us, and he is really improving and he's working at it. Okay, alrighty guys.